Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful Monday. With 2022 coming to an end here pretty soon, that means another breeding season is quickly approaching. And as always, I wanted to share with you my pairs for the coming year. I'm going to be starting to pair geckos up in the next couple weeks here, and then of course throughout the spring in 2023. And I always like to show you what my pairs are going to be for the coming year, just so you can get an idea of what I'm working with, along with what offspring might be available in the near future. But along with this, I also want to do this a little bit more educationally than I have in the past. So I'm just going to be going into a little bit more depth on why I'm pairing these two geckos together and then what their offspring might be. So if you're a newer breeder, a newer keeper, or you're just looking to spice things up in your gecko collection, hopefully this video gives you a couple ideas on some new things you could try, or at the very least you can see what I am working with. But without further ado, let's jump into our first pairing of the year, which is actually a breeder loan between me and Robbies Reptiles. This is the first year I've ever done any sort of breeder loans, so I'm pretty excited about the ones that I do have going on. And my one with Robbies Reptiles is really cool because I sent him one of my nice red phantom females. He's going to be pairing that to a phantom axanthic male. So ideally, in a perfect world, I could get some really nice het axanthic phantoms. Hopefully they're red, but they could really be any color, and I'm really curious to see what they turn out as. But that's going to be a great project because then I can have some nice 100% het axanthic phantoms to work with into my other projects. Something else that I sent him is a possible cappuccino that's also a phantom. I'm not as excited about that one just because I don't have a huge interest in working with cappuccinos, but I'm also just kind of curious to see how that turns out. It was a gecko that I had picked up from my local store before I even knew what cappuccinos were, and then when cappuccinos came out and I looked at that gecko, I was like, this looks kind of interesting. And I had picked it up because it was really cool looking. It's kind of a pinkish, grayish, orange color. I'm pretty sure it's a female, or I'm pretty sure it was a female when I sent it to him. So he's going to work with that. We'll see what comes of that, but I'm really excited for the het axanthic phantoms that I'm going to be getting in the next year or so. And another loan that I did was with Rambo's Geckos. If you've been watching my unboxing videos, you'll know about this one already. But Rambo actually sent me 4 possible het axanthic females. They're all 66% pos hets. So I'm going to be proving those all out this coming year with my nice male here. As you can see, he's a nice darkish red and cream 100% het axanthic from Altitude Exotics lines, and it's pretty obvious why I'm pairing all these females to him because they're all pos het. But we have one nice red harlequin here, a nice dark based harlequin here, and then kind of an orangish phantom. So I'm going to be getting some geckos that are pos het axanthic, and then also carrying the phantom gene, which is again really cool because I love my phantoms here, so I'm excited about that one. And then lastly, we have this really cool female who I like, not even because she's pos het axanthic, but just because she's really neat. I don't even know what you'd really call this. She's like kind of like a harlequin, but she's really got that cream that starts way up at her crest, comes all the way down her back, super drippy, and cream on the sides. I just really like this girl in general, and I don't know how well she's going to pair with my red male, but she's very cool and I really like her. So those are all the breeder loans that I have going on this year. So some really nice axanthic stuff is hopefully coming my way, or het axanthic stuff I should say. But as far as breeder loans, that's all I've got going on. It's pretty obvious why I'm pairing those, I would hope, because we're trying to create some hets and some hopefully axanthics as well. But as far as normal gecko pairings go, let's start out strong with my male Murcielago here. He's from Pangea Reptiles. He's got a very dark base, and he's got those white spots, which I believe is now snowflaking. And so I'm pairing him with quite a wide variety of females here. We have Adeline, Berry Blast, Amaris, Yeti, and Queen. And I think this is my male who's going to be with the most females. So Adeline and Berry Blast are both red phantoms. Adeline is from kind of my stuff that I work with in red phantoms, and Berry Blast is from Rockstar Geckos, which is alternately from Underground Geckos of Texas. A lot of the really nice red phantoms with a lot of white spots come out of that stuff, and so it's pretty common to have that lineage in there. So that's why I wanted to pair him with one gecko from my kind of red stuff, which is I think originally from AC Reptiles, and then one from their stuff, which is more of the, I would say, really popular stuff that has a lot of white spots. I picked 2 geckos that don't have a lot of pinstriping because I'm fairly certain that pinstriping prevent the white spots from reaching as high as they could, so that's why I picked those 2 specifically. Amaris is just a kind of dark gray phantom, so to hopefully get his genes into a darker phantom rather than just all red stuff. That's why I picked her. And again, she has no pinstripe scales at all, like some of the phantoms do. So that's why I'm using her, because I really want those white spots to go up as far as they can on the gecko. And it's unlikely that Mercy, the male, is carrying the phantom gene. So these are all going to be het phantoms. Anytime you're breeding phantom to a normal, you're going to get all 100% hets. So that's likely what we're going to get out of these. Yeti is a beautiful lily white, nothing special here, just trying to see what he creates with a lily white. And then Queen is just a very nice extreme harlequin. Again, nothing crazy planned here, just kind of want to see how those white spots translate into an extreme harlequin. Next up we have, I'm going to say Vector / Diamond. The reason is Vector is very skittish when it comes to breeding, no matter what I do, it seems. So if the females don't work out with him, they're just going to carry over to Diamond, which is what I did this last year. I just could not get him to pair with any females, unfortunately. So Diamond always gets the job done though. They're both just high white males. Vector's the nicer of the two, so I'm going to start with him first. But these are all pretty self-explanatory. So he's got Snow White here, just a nice kind of extreme harlequin lily white. Catherine is just a kind of orange and dark harlequin. Kyrie's just another extreme harlequin. Obviously the goal with all three of those is Snow White's to get some nice lily whites. Catherine and Kyrie, just some hopefully higher white extremes. And something you're going to notice as we go through these pairs is I've really moved away from dark-based extreme harlequins. That was my main focus last year, or one of them. I've really moved away from that this year. I've sold a lot of them, which was really hard because a lot of them are ones I produced and were breeders here. But as far as projects go, it's something I'm kind of moving away from. So this is really the only pair where I'm doing any sort of extreme harlequin stuff. So I'm hoping to get some really nice ones out of this. And then lastly, we have Julia here, Red Phantom. Depending on which male she's with, neither of them carry the phantom gene, but we're hoping for some, or I'm hoping for some red high white animals that are carrying the phantom gene ideally. But I would just be happy with any red animals out of these two pairs. So that's what we got going on for Vector / Diamond. Up next we have again another slash here. We got Blizzard / Snowball. These are both lily white males. And the thing about these two is, I don't want to say I don't like them, but they both have Dalmatian spots. Blizzard has more than Snowball. Blizzard's from Altitude Exotics, Snowball's from Tiki's Geckos. Unfortunately, they both got Dal spots, even though they're both really nice lily whites. If you know me, you know I don't like my spots, so that's why they're only going with Hades here, who's a dark brown phantom. Just hoping to get some lily whites that are het phantom, and hopefully some eventually dark phantom lily whites. But that's the only female that they're getting, just because I'm concerned about how the spots might translate over, and I don't like anything that has spots. So that's kind of what they're going to be doing for this year. Likely one of those two will be up for sale in the next year, just because of the spot factor alone. Next up, let's move into some red stuff here. This is where it's going to get really confusing. And so to try and keep this simplified, phantom is a recessive gene, as a lot of you know. If you breed two phantoms together, you're going to get all phantoms. If you breed a phantom to a gecko that's just carrying the gene, you're going to get roughly 50% phantoms, and then another 50% are going to be 100% het phantoms. You also have pos het phantoms. It gets really crazy with all the percentages, and since I have a lot of phantoms, a lot of hets, I don't think it makes a sense to go into all of it. You can see it on my website if you go through my breeders and you're trying to calculate out what percentage it might be. Again, it's just the odds. It's not always going to be exact. But we're just going to go through these here so you can kind of see. So my male Crimson here is my nicest phantom male with white spots. He's going to be paired to Pepper, who's a phantom, so that's going to be all phantoms. He's going to be paired to Sally here, who's 100% het phantom, so that's going to be hopefully 50-50. And then he's also going to be paired to Tulip here, who is again another phantom, so those should all be phantoms with white spots. The main goal with these is again to produce geckos that have a lot of white spots in our red phantoms. And these geckos specifically, besides Sally, are again hopefully geckos with less pinstriping than normal, or less pinstripe scales than normal, to hopefully increase those white spots and the distance that they can go up the sides on the animal. If you're pairing them with geckos that have a lot of pinstriping, in theory that would prevent some of that from climbing up. So I was trying to pick ones that had the least amount of very defined pinstripe scales. But like my male Cherry here, he doesn't have as much white spots, but he also has that very defined pinstriping going on, which is probably not helpful when I'm trying to get geckos that have a lot of white spots going on. So he's going to be paired to Millie here, who is not related to my stuff or that other line. She's just a different red phantom. She has a little bit more pinstriping going on. And when I say pinstriping, I just mean the scales along the back. There's no actual color there. It's just the raised scales, the raised pinstripe scales. So she has a little bit more of that going on, which is why she's going to be with Cherry. And then Emma here was my nicest, brightest red pinstripe. She's 100% het phantom. So we should get about 50-50 phantoms to more het phantoms. Moving on, we have Red Devil, 100% het phantom male here. He's going to be paired to Marshmallow, who's a phantom lily white. So we should get about 50% lily whites out of this, 50% phantoms, and then some combination of phantom lily whites out of these two, and then of course everything else that can go along with it. And then we're going to pair him to Petunia as well. She's a 50% pos het phantom, so we're going to prove her out and see if she's carrying the gene or not. Otherwise, this could be a red that doesn't have the phantom gene. Moving on to our next male, Hellboy here. You guys probably know about this one. He's the guy who has two different base colors, who I thought might be something unique, but is likely not able to pass along his uniqueness, unfortunately. And so, with seeing his offspring from the last couple years, none of it's been super crazy, even when he's paired with a nicer animal. So I'm kind of toning it back a little bit on him. He's only getting paired with one gecko that's 100% het phantom. So they're both 100% het phantom. They should get some percentage of phantoms, likely around 25%. But I'm just hoping for some nice red harlequins that are going to be carrying the phantom gene, or pos het phantoms I should say. But that's the only female he's going to be with this year, just because he hasn't made any crazy nice bright reds, and he hasn't made anything that's super crazy. So I didn't want to spend too many females on him this year. And our last pairing for the year is Golden Boy. You may have seen me unbox this guy. He has the weird kind of red spots on his back leg, and kind of throughout his face he has weird red coloring. It might be something new. It might be exactly what Hellboy has, which is not able to be passed along. So I didn't want to use too many females on him either. So he's just going to be paired with Hemlock here, who's a dark phantom. Golden Boy is also 100% het phantom, so at the very least I should get some dark phantoms out of this, probably some dark flames too that are carrying the phantom gene, but I'm not too confident in the fact that he can pass along those weird red spots, which is why he's only getting paired with one female later in spring next year. And that's all I have for pairs this year. I do have one secret project that I'm working on that I'm finally getting some babies from this year. And so this project is something I haven't shared publicly. I'm just letting you know that it's taking place, and it's going to be very cool, and I'm excited to share with you those offspring in the next coming years as they get more developed. But with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully some of these pairs maybe gave you some new and inspiring ideas for your own pairs. I guess the biggest thing that I could say for this coming year is, if you're breeding any sort of phantoms, keep track of your hets, your pos hets, and things like that. I think there's a lot of people who, number one, still don't maybe accept the fact that phantom's recessive, so they're not keeping track of it. And I think a lot of people just don't know as well. So that would be my advice to you for the year. But anyway, I hope you guys all have a wonderful 2023 as we approach the end of the year, and I hope you all have a great breeding season as well. And with that, I hope to see you in my next video.